Welcome to another Howls and Growls breakdown. Today we're talking about Minnesota's offense, and we really need to talk about Minnesota's offense because if you're looking at the Timberwolves as a team who potentially has championship or even Western Conference Finals aspirations, then the offense is going to have to improve drastically. Now, the Wolves' defense is elite. We've broken that down many times on this channel, but it's tough to beat the best teams in the league while only excelling on one side of the court, and Minnesota found that out the hard way against the Oklahoma City Thunder. While they kept OKC to a 105.7 offensive rating, a number that ranks in the 19th percentile for all games this season, they only posted a 97 offensive rating themselves, ranking in the 8th percentile. And you see this turnover number, that is the killer for Minnesota right now. They currently rank 28th in percentage of offensive possessions that end in a turnover, and that's what's keeping their offensive rating here at 16th in the league. To my admittedly untrained eye, they're committing a lot of stupid mistakes, but they're also being let down by their coaching, and especially the spacing being deployed by those coaches, and of course the players themselves. So we're going to use this OKC game as an example, but these are the things we're seeing every single night right now. This possession is an example of how the lack of shooters and the spacing on top of that can create that terrible offense. OKC are immediately trapping Edwards in this corner here, but they're also leaving Nickeil Alexander-Walker here in the opposite corner. So instead of spacing the floor, Towns drops in here to choke up the lane, with Kyle Anderson who's doing the same thing. So when it comes to Naz Reid and he gets a step on his man, Towns is still in here ruining his driving lane. Eventually it does get out to Nickeil Alexander-Walker in the corner, but it's a good closeout. He needs to drive into traffic. Towns is still standing there and the shot gets swatted away. And that need to get Towns in the post forces turnovers as well. Again, it's Towns down here, and Jalen Williams is already all the way off Kyle Anderson, who is no threat to shoot. That means OKC are able to pack the paint and double Towns at the same time, forcing the ball out of his hands. Eventually it swings to Reid, but Towns slices in here for no reason rather than spacing out to the corner to give Reid a driving lane, and then Reid is forced to pass out, and he makes a mess of that. And as is going to be the case against almost every team Minnesota are going to play in important games, the Thunder pivot out of that turnover and punish the Wolves' transition defense on the other end. That's how spacing on offense can lose you games on defense. Again, Minnesota's offense just doesn't make sense way too often. Towns catches it in single coverage here, and Jaden McDaniels just cuts through here, bringing his defender right into Towns' path and turning that single coverage into a double team that Towns has to force his way through, and it ends up in another missed shot. It's just a confusing offense. They're running pick and roll here with Gobert and Edwards up top, and Towns is just camped out in the post, completely destroying the spacing. Then it's Kyle Anderson who is providing the release valve, and his man is in here crowding Edwards and leaving Anderson alone to fire off an airball. Either that's bad execution, or it's bad coaching, or it's a mixture of both. Hey guys, just interrupting this video quickly to tell you about Fruity Flyers, a local Minnesota brand who love the Wolves like we love the Wolves. Their clothing is simple and it's fun and it's perfect for Minnesota fans. If you buy 2 Fruity Flyers tees, you get a free black tee just for supporting Howls and Growls. Just head over to fruityflyers.com, get your tees, and use the code Howls and Growls for a free tee with your order. Now it feels like I'm repeating myself here, but the insistence to post up and the refusal to go 5 out is murdering Minnesota's offense right now. On this possession, you have Naz Reid cutting into here while Towns shuffles into the paint here. Then Kyle Anderson decides to get himself into the crowd as well after he passes the ball off to the corner. Eventually that clears out, but Towns' post-up is dead, and for some reason that doesn't stop him from trying, he gets back in there again and wrecks another driving lane for Reed. Then he does the same by not clearing the area when McLaughlin drives. Really, that possession was quick and decisive ball movement, but when there's a shooter standing in the paint instead of behind the arc, the ball movement never really leads to much. Again, it's just not a good idea to post up in this offense, and even less so when Rudy Gobert is on the floor. Anthony Edwards gets into it here in clutch time, but Gobert is in the paint, and that makes it way too easy for Williams to shift over and provide hard help on that post up. So now he's bottled up, and look at this spacing. There's nobody on the perimeter except Conley over here, so when Towns catches, there's so many bodies in his path, and it makes every shot infinitely tougher to make. And it means that everybody is under the hoop, so when the shot misses, OKC are shot out of a cannon going back the other way. They get that and one finish from Gilgeous-Alexander, and that gives OKC a late lead, and Minnesota never regained momentum from there. So while the turnovers are an issue, a massive issue, there would not only be less chance for Minnesota to free flow into those turnovers with better spacing and better coaching, there would be less missed shots and less wasted possessions. Minnesota put up a good fight and really probably should have still won this game against the Thunder thanks to their defense, but against great teams, those wasted possessions are going to come back to haunt you. Thanks again for watching Howls and Growls. Please subscribe for more.